Everybody, welcome back to Commonwealth Flipper. Welcome to the Commonwealth cabin. So I've made a decision. I feel like now's the time, and I've kind of been ramping up for this anyways, and things have been going well. I think it's time, but I also have a problem that goes kind of hand in hand with that decision. So I want to talk about that and show you a lot of stuff that's sold today. Let's go take a look. All right, I guess we'll jump right into the topic as I'm picking and just talk about both of them. The fact that, well, the first part of the topic is that I've really made a decision, and you've probably seen it over the last few videos, and I'm kind of going all in. I'm very bullish on reselling right now. I went to look at my MCM bin, but I realized that I put them up here because they're pretty small. If I can find them. They're little MCM birds. I think I put them in here somewhere. Probably in this. There it is, right there. Recently, they didn't take long to sell. I can't remember if these are home interiors or Burwood or what they are. Probably Burwood. Yep, Burwood. I paid $1 at a yard sale for them. Little MCM hanging birds. Sold for $14.95 plus shipping. Some of you are probably saying, aren't you already all in on reselling? And I am, but it's different. I've always kind of said that I'm going to just remain a part-time reseller. And I pretty much have. I don't do that much differently on eBay, at least, than I used to do 10 years ago. But I am really going to expand my sourcing because this is the first time ever I have an empty shed. I hardly have anything to list right now after 2 straight weeks of bad sourcing because of weather. Speaking of weather, our power has gone out now 3 times. I don't mean to complain with all the folks out there really suffering, but boy, it's put us off schedule over the last week and a half or so, and it just continues. By the time you're seeing this, I hope the weather has gotten a lot better. It already is here today, so. But man, that power has been a bear. So I am really going to transform, hopefully, my sourcing. I've already talked about adding storage units slowly, maybe 3 or 4 this winter, and then maybe a few more if it goes well. We'll see. It's a lot of labor, but I can't go garage sailing. And I want to add another piece to the sourcing equation as well. As many of you folks know, I'm not really keen on dissecting all the numbers. I'm more of a anecdotal type person and an observer of people's, what their practices are, what they're currently doing in society. And that has informed me a little bit as to where I think this thing is headed. And I also like to zig when everybody else zags, and there's a lot of talk with people, it's just not worth it anymore, it's just whatever. And I'm like, when I hear that kind of stuff, I said, there's an opportunity somewhere. This one, we put a little tape on it, it's coming off to make sure it didn't come open, but this is a Snap-on Tools Blue Point screw extractor set. Bought this at that sale that I bought that wrestling stuff at, and I couldn't pass up all the other, which is kind of what I want to talk about. Maybe I'll talk about this for just a second first, but this sold right here, it's all pure profit at this point. I think it sold for 40 bucks plus shipping. Let me go down a rabbit trail for just a second because it applies in context to what I'm talking about right now. And this, what I hope to see is an expansion through Q4, but on into Q1 of next year and beyond. And I obviously don't think this is for everybody, but you know, hey, it could be for some folks out there, depending on your circumstances. Look at what's sold here. I'm just going to look at the first few items. Tools have sold. Mid-century modern has sold. Look at this next item. So we've got 2 totally different niches here. And now we're going to head back here and find some Fisher-Price toys. This lot right here, it's got a few wooden ones and some plastic ones in there. A lot of them are damaged, unfortunately. Even the dog, that one sells right there pretty good by itself. The rooster, I mean pretty good, not that great. There's a dog that sells okay, but one's got damage on it. So we sold this one for $15. We tried to sell it for $15.95, but took an offer, $15, 10 cents, or cent an offer, plus shipping. So you got toys, vintage toys, tools, mid-century modern, home decor. So there's 3 different items in different categories. Here's a 4th right here in the old school pick. No, it's not there. It's down in Troy, Mapman Treasures. Down here, and Wild Spirit. You remember me picking this up at a garage sale, no, I don't know, a month and a half ago or so. Sold them off slowly so far. Listen, y'all, I'm into this stuff for nothing. I think $13 into this. This is 24 plus shipping, $24.95 plus shipping. So we're looking at 40, 80, 95. So $13 and $95 plus shipping. Totally different niches. Into the eBay cave for some more camo. Camo has been great for us. I've probably sold through this bin 3 times in the last 3 months. This is C.E. Schmidt workwear, just got listed. It's an XLS right there. These sold on a send offer really quickly after listing, $23.70 plus shipping. This is in one of those giant bins, so I'm into them for probably about $2. Not bad. And another niche, totally different stuff selling here. So I'm going to grab the next 2 items as well, because all of this is going to tie into the bigger picture, the anecdotal kind of picture I've painted for myself that's kind of brought me to this conclusion. I see a glimpse of the sun barely sneaking through finally after so long. So this right here is a Mets jersey, but it's not just a vintage Mets jersey. It is a Lynchburg Mets jersey. And I don't know if you're a Mets fan, you probably know, of course, the 86 Mets. But going back further, a lot of those guys played in the early 80s for Lynchburg. And I saw this, I'm like, holy moly. And the guy told me, he's like, yeah, it's a Lenny Dykstra jersey. I'm like, I don't, you know, he wore number 4, but I don't know what he wore for the Mets. He certainly didn't, I highly doubt he wore that when he was in Lynchburg, and he didn't. But this was a tough one to price, and probably underpriced it, because it sold really quickly. But I paid $15, and it sold for $60 plus shipping. I almost tripped over Poncho here. I didn't even know you were in here, pup. There you go. Hey, that reminds me, I'll do that one more so we'll get to it. But we sold for the charity for Sophie, and we're sending it off soon. I'll announce that on the next episode. But I also thought, you know, look at all the folks who've been suffering the last few weeks in North Carolina and Florida and whatever. And I figured, you know, we did that for a dog. We should probably be thinking about some other human beings out there as well. So I'm going to put all of these over on Dibdit on auction. I'm going to put all 3 of them. Or technically all 4 of them. So number 1, number 2, number 3. We don't sell that anymore. We're pretty much out of them. And then the Christmas ornament. We're going to put all of those over there on Dibdit on auction for charity auction. I thought it would probably, and this might make people mad, but that's all right. I thought Samaritan's Purse would be good because that started in Boone, North Carolina. And that's very close to where a lot of the trouble is. What's going on? You're knocking stuff over. Don't get scared. You knocked it over. What do you think was going to happen, huh? What do you think? So we're going to put that over there for $1, and we're going to run it. By the time you see this video, it should have just a few days left on it. So clearly another genre right here. Yes, clothing, but 2 totally different types of clothing. And then a totally different category here. This is the gold we mentioned on the show last week, and it was on auction. This sold, I think I said $225 to $250 is what it's worth. It sold for $237.03 plus shipping. We got that out of that storage unit that me and Joey picked up. And found a few sterling pieces. I actually found quite a few sterling pieces as well. So we're going to, and one more gold piece. And so I'm just looking at this, and I've made this decision before this, but this kind of goes to show people, when I watch people, and I'm watching, like I've talked about TikTok Shop before and all that stuff. And I don't shop on there, and I'm sure a lot of you don't, but some of you may. Just the total overall look at how people are buying. And young people. I mean, I see, even my wife does this. You know, she's like, oh, she don't want to go grocery shop anymore. She just orders this stuff, go picks it up or whatever. Now they deliver everything, all this stuff. People are living slightly more isolated lives than ever. And delivery is massive, and shopping online just continues to grow. There's other aspects to this that really, really excite me. The fact that these reselling marketplaces, I've said this for years, and people say, you're crazy, it's not going to happen or whatever, and eBay's never going to change or whatever. They have to at some point. And I have started to see those small changes, the advertising and whatever. And I've said that eBay couldn't rebrand itself about as easy as any company. And all these other reselling platforms, like the ones we have, Commons and Dibdit and all that, I'm seeing growth. I'm seeing success. I've kind of pushed a few things back to the side to focus on the places that make me the most money, that turn over volume as fast as I possibly can. And now, since it's working, I got an empty shed back there. So the only way that I can continue to grow on the sales side is by upping the sourcing side. And there's been a few things that have kind of distracted me a little bit from it, or detracted me a little bit from the growth part of the reselling over the last few years, because I don't want to overload myself. We're doing okay on social media, so it's not like I have to have the money, but there's so much opportunity right now. I want to put these pieces in place and grow the reselling side even more this year and on into next year. And I'm going to keep talking about a few other things that's led me here. Get your opinion down below, but there are 3 viewer sales today. I think this is one of them. Must be in the first row. There it is right here. These are Lufkin rulers. I usually pick them up for $1. And these weren't even in great shape, as you can see, so that one I probably picked up cheaper than that, or got it free in a box or something. I wouldn't have paid $1 for that one. And a cheese box. Where's the cheese box? It might be inside. And it was inside. It says cheese box right here, and it went to Bill. It says repeat buyer, but it might be because he bought 2 things. But I'm going to assume, Bill, you are a viewer, so thank you. And total is $36.95 plus shipping for those 2. I think these are like 12. And I've also said, and people just don't believe it, but I source between 40 and 60 days a year. And that's it. That's usually what I've done. Now, it might be a little bit more than that now, because sometimes I go on these highway sales in 2 or 3 days with sourcing in a week. I rarely go out on Fridays. I've done that more this year, maybe 5 or 6 times. But there are 4 months a year where there's pretty much nothing. And so I want to increase that sourcing. I think I do pretty good just because my knowledge base has grown so much, really, since I've started doing this channel. It's always grown over the years. But watching everybody out there, listening to people in the comments, and I just get slightly better slowly in so many different categories that I'm able to pick more stuff when I'm out there. And I'm also better at making sure I'm not picking the stuff that's just never going to sell, the low sell-through rate items, or even if I do pick them, figuring out a way to get them to sell quicker. And the other options, I've talked about this before. For me, the success of Shop Commons has cleaned that shit out way faster than I thought. I mean, we've sold like 59 lots at this point, lots of stuff. And that's not even including the live sales that are going on over there once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks. And then, of course, Dibdit, which I'm able to pick items that do well over there with that audience base. So for me, I'm going through merchandise way quicker than I used to. And I don't have a death pile. And I'm selling stuff. This is good. There's ups and downs. And there's another piece to this puzzle I want to talk about too. There's actually probably 4 more pieces to the puzzle. But here was an example. You remember a few months back, I bought all this Black Rifle Coffee Company stuff off of literally a coffee shop and brewery in town that had too much stuff and they couldn't get rid of it. And they're like, hey, $5 a piece and you can buy a ton. And I bought a bunch. These are the lowest end of all of that. And they're still going for 21 bucks plus shipping, $20.95. plus shipping. So there again, even another wide variety. There's nothing that's similar here. This sold on Bonanza, which is awesome. I got 2 sales in 2 days on Bonanza. $14.90 plus shipping. So I do feel like I'm getting better about this. I'm getting smarter about this. There are more opportunities to sell in different marketplaces in different ways. There's more competition among the marketplaces. Even the fact that shipping, you know, we always talk about shipping going up. I'll tell you what, I'm seeing unbelievable deals for shipping right now. Here's an example. I don't want to get too close, give away his address, but that is going to my buddy Chernock, and it's a heavy package. It's not tiny, okay? And that right there, it's like 4 pounds. That right there is going out UPS SurePost. It's going out for under $6. That's crazy. And while brick and mortars aren't dead, there's a lot of them, especially in big cities, that are closing. The cost of doing business, whether it's anything from crime to just high prices for leases and all, there's all kinds of things that are putting pressure on the typical retail stuff. And people know, you know, we criticize YouTubers, Instagrammers, TikTokers, whatever, about, you know, showing their finds on eBay and putting them on videos and stuff. But let me tell you, that part of that is a good thing because people see, look, if I can find anything I want, not that people don't know this already, but anything I want on these marketplaces, and literally almost anything can be bought out there. And so there's just unlimited potential here. There are some dangers, and I've talked about this too. I don't want to be too bullish. And there's a lot of people out there who are quitting. And that's, how do I say this without sounding rude? That's a good thing for the people who stick with it. It's not necessarily a good thing for those who are quitting. If they had trouble selling, that's why they're quitting. If they're quitting for other reasons, because they've got better opportunities or whatever, then great for them. And I've said for years now that I hate the hurdles that are being put in place, you know, for people to not be able to enter into this marketplace. I hate it. But in the end, it's not necessarily a bad thing for those who stick it out, because they deal with all the tax ramifications. They know the ins and outs, and it shrinks the seller base. I think what's been going on for a while, and people disagree, everybody's reselling now, so you can't do it. There's actually less people reselling now than there used to be. And I think those people, if they stick it out and do the right things, are going to make more money than they ever have before. And here is the second of those viewer sales, if I can find it. It's a GE radio. And this one I know. I don't know the last one was, but this one I know is a viewer. I've got all kinds of stuff. But listen, y'all, remember how that was just mounded over, about a month and a half ago? We got far less in here. Try to be careful with this stuff. I don't really like the idea of piling it on top of each other, but I try and do it gently. This is one of those pickups that I usually can't resist, because I had this radio when I was a kid. This wasn't even the type my dad had. And I picked it up for a cheap price and sold it for $14.95 plus shipping. And Sandy bought this one. Sweet Peas X3 is the eBay store. So I watched your YouTube video about your starting to buy storage units, and that's going to be a slow process, y'all. We're going to start it really slow, but I am going to take the steps because I've got the systems down right now. I don't want to start doing that without the systems in place. This might be a mistake. I might keep dabbling in it and make sure I don't invest money where I shouldn't. But I do not want to pay overhead for anything. I don't want to have my own storage unit, for instance. But I do think that buying some kind of vehicle, whether it's one of those dump loader things or whether it's an enclosed trailer, a smaller one, not the giant one that we're going to use for road trips and stuff, or buying a vehicle, a box truck or something, I might do that. It might not come super quick. We might do it in stages with my buddy Pinjo, but I think the reason this will work for us is because we could buy it, process it all, go buy another one, instead of buying it, sticking it in a storage unit and making death piles and paying overhead. I think that our systems are good enough right now that we can unload quick enough to make it work and then get the next one. That's the hope. I guess I should read this. I watched your YouTube video about you starting to buy storage units. I saw you digging a tote for an alarm clock and saw you move this vintage one. I did. I have been wanting one like this for a long time. I had one just like it in the 80s and 90s. There you go. There's kind of makes my point, right? And you have 99 feedback. I assume you're a seller, but you may not be. And doing this kind of stuff, a lot of times, kind of turns into experiential buying. You see it, and it's like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. I want one of those. And that stuff happens. It happens to me, and I'm not a massive consumer. I just started selling a couple months ago. Your videos have helped me a lot. Thank you, Sandy. Sandy, I appreciate it. Hope you enjoy it. Here's another totally different. I mean, look at it. They're all just totally different type sales, which for me, not for everybody, but for me is amazing. And I'll tie that into the next comment, which is kind of recession proof, if there is such a thing. Reselling. What am I even looking for? I'm looking for a block, y'all. I'm looking for one of those printing blocks, except for that's not it. No, I think this one is like completely iron, I think. Is that it? No, that's the dog. Let's see what this one is. Oh yeah, I don't even know if I listed that one. I don't see it. Alright, I finally found it way in the back of Craigslist Hunter's drawer, and it is, I believe this is lead, and it's like a jester, a joker. And that one sold for $15.95. It's a little block press printing thing plus shipping. I sold a Commons lot. I don't know if I'll put it up or not. It's $25 plus shipping for some vintage clothing, teen clothing. That would have been hard to sell one-off over time. They would have sold, probably for decent money, but they would have been slow sell-through rate on some of them. So we put them over there at a really good price. I got them for free, so I'm good with that. $25 plus shipping. And that reminds me that I kind of, and it ties in a little bit here. It's at the end of the month, I try to give a Commons update or a Dibdit update or whatever. I'm just going to run through those numbers real quick. And then I want to look at my eBay numbers as well. So looking at the numbers, sales, $60,300. That's for, I guess, it's not quite 3 months yet, but we have surpassed the $1,000 a day mark at this point, and it's going up. So I'm super excited about that. And think about that. That's just a little old marketplace that I started with some help with some buddies. And that's having that much success. This wouldn't be having success if there weren't other types of selling going on out there at other marketplaces. Because it's not marketed to anybody but resellers, although there may be a few folks over there buying for themselves. And some of the sales are like that. So there's a good update. That's encouraged me. The systems that I've been working hard on lately have been paying off. And I'm seeing the fact, I know it seems a little antithetical. And I do have a smaller amount of a death pile, so there's a tie-in there. But being able to do this type of selling in bulk has freed up bandwidth and time to focus on the eBay things that I just love the most. So, not that those aren't eBay things, but man, that's a whole day's worth of work if you're going to list nothing but vintage clothing, teens vintage clothing. That's going to be slow sell-through rate. For the right person who has the right niche and the right knowledge, it's not as much work as it is for me. So let's look at the eBay numbers. Now keep in mind, I did take a week off last month, okay? But keep that in mind. In, what was it, August. So this is month over month. We teased about that on the Trash to Cash podcast. How's your mom? How's your month over month? At any rate, 79.5% month over month increase in sales. I'm pretty happy with that. That's the first little take on, and of course one was, you know, August versus September. So September is usually a better month than August. So there's that. But I feel so much better about the processes and the systems we have in place in order to really go all in now. Because it's working so well, I can't buy enough inventory in my typical sourcing patterns. I can expand it, and I'm excited about it. But I do have that problem of not enough inventory. So, other than the storage units, I may try and do bulk buyouts from people, make connections, maybe even you out there. If you don't live, you know, more than 400 miles away from me or something, might be able this winter to arrange something. If you got something, send me an email or send it to Jess. We don't have Bubba's girlfriend working for us anymore, unfortunately. But Jess still comes in every once in a while, and one of the things she does is check her email, jess.commonwealthpicker@gmail.com. Now, there is a downside to this that's leading me to this as well, and maybe you guys can tell me what your experience is. September, October have usually been very, very good sourcing months for me. And September, obviously October is just getting going here. But September was not a great sourcing month for me. I'm going to chalk it up to the weather because it seemed like it was awful weather all the time. There wasn't as many sales out there. But I have heard people all around the country say sales haven't been quite as good this year as last year. Let me know if you've experienced that or not. Of course, that would be pretty negative to my type of reselling. It's not like garage sales are going to disappear, but even a slight downward trend on them, either with higher prices or with less garage sales, might not be great. But this is the third viewer sale of the day, and that is obviously an amber ashtray, which is something I love to pick up, but doesn't go for a ton of money. And it went to Rhonda. Enjoy your videos. I have a thing for ashtrays as well. Mushrooms and paperweights. There you go. I love all three of those. So God bless you and happy picking, Rhonda Records. I appreciate it. There is, of course, I've said this before, a bit of a strange economy, a mixed economy. It's good for some, not good for others, and it's just constantly shifting. And that can be actually a good time for resellers, believe it or not. And I think if you do the right moves, it can be for you as well. Official Carolina League Baseball, brand new right there. And that's sold for $16.10 plus shipping. All right, Reagan's got some sales from CommonwealthPicker.com. What do you got?
Holly got a Junkyard Flipper sticker, and Melissa got a number 3 Inmo Man.
There you go. And this says it was the last one we had, Junkyard Flipper sticker. But I just looked over there. We got 3 more. So maybe I'll put those up on CommonwealthPicker.com. And then the number 3, I didn't show you this. Katie Reeds, who has her own YouTube channel, made a donation in Sophie's honor.
Aww.
to this Humane Society up there in Michigan. Very, very sweet. We got another message over here. I love Vintage NYC. They are awesome over there on Dibdit. Thank you. And she sent us a letter as well, and we're making a donation from a sale that I haven't announced yet. So thank you all very, very much.
Bye, and don't forget to get your stickers at commonwealthpicker.com.
The strange day and eclectic sales continue. This is a couple of Awana vests. I hear little tiny kids Awana vests, and I paid $1, I think. $15.95 plus shipping. First time eBay buyer ever, not a viewer. The first time eBay buyer, and I've seen a bunch of those lately, which is encouraging. So I mentioned this lot going up on eBay as a charity auction, but I'm still going to do a deal of the day. Rambo. I was going to keep this one for my eBay cave, but I think I'm going to pass it on because the eBay cave is going to take another back seat to this new venture here. So we'll see when we get that done. This Rambo does not have the thermos inside, but we're going to put it out there super cheap. Like, I don't know, what do you think? What's super cheap for this? 1985. How about $7.95 over on Dibdit.com. All right, Turner's got some Commonwealth comedy. What do you got, bud?
Why don't mummies take time off?
Why don't mummies take time off? I don't know.
They're afraid to unwind.
Sometimes that's me. Am I afraid to unwind sometimes? Thank you, bud.
Bye.
I remember reading when I was in high school, well, I'll tell you what, I won't get into specifics, but all these dystopian novels and stuff predicting the future. And some of it is strangely coming true, unfortunately for some of it. But I can tell you one thing, that the buying habits of people are just set up in such a way that resellers can really flourish, in my opinion, not just for a year or two, but looking big picture, macro picture for a long time. And Joe, I screwed something up. I accidentally, I normally try to take multi-quantity off of 30% off sales, but these shirts went on 30% off, and I left them on there. They're still there, I guess. That's a size small. I sold a size large, and there's only 3 left. It might take me a minute. All right, I found it, and I'll probably leave them on 30% off. We've sold through about 2/3 of them already at really good profit, and this one is, I think they're going right around $14 at this point when they're 30% off. Somewhere around there. Let me look real quick. Yeah, $13.96 plus shipping, and we're into them for just over $1. So we're still making money at 30% off, and they've been around a while, so we'll leave them on there through the duration of this sale, and then we'll keep them off. So let me know in the comments, am I crazy to be bullish on reselling right now? And I know it's an election year and all that stuff, and there's always ups and downs, but I just think the big picture over time is looking pretty good. If I had to pick one thing, the competition between reselling platforms is the biggest thing that I really like the most. And there's a bunch that I like. So anyway, let me know what you think below in the comments, and thank you for joining us as always, and all the support and the charity and the kind messages and all that stuff. And I can't wait to see you next time.